Hey guys, it's been a while since we've done a hockey's video. I had a hockey video. I can't find it. Like I can't even find it on my channel. I think I might have got the title wrong, and so we're just gonna make one again, and we'll have it in its own little playlist, and kind of go from there. So, um, first thing we'll go through is controls here. Select all units, rotate camera, Alt, let's hold. Select all units, Control Shift A. Select all units on screen, Control A. Reset camera. This is all pretty standard stuff. The one thing I do have changed is focus on Capital Town Center, double H. And we'll just go down here. Sticky selection, I have off. Swap Shift and Alt modifier keys off. Exclusive control group I have on. I like this just for ease of my control groups. I don't like having one unit in multiple control groups. Some people do. I just like the ease of exclusive control groups and being able to put a unit on that, so into control group and not have to worry about it really quickly. Idle villager select and center camera. I'd like to know, I usually only select one idle villager at a time, so I like to be where they're at and know, where they're at, so I can send them to go do something without running all the way across. Idle military select only. I don't even use my idle military hotkeys, so this could be whatever, because I don't even use my idle military hotkeys really. I kind of have a good idea where my military is at generally. I lose a unit here or there, but not end of the world, I think. Find and cycle units and buildings. Select and center camera. This is pretty important, I think. For your units at least, you definitely want to be able to double click your hotkey and jump there. Buildings not so much, but definitely your army hotkeys and all that type of stuff. Cycle through sub-selected units, select and center camera, focus on selected units, center camera, command Q mode, and on release. Okay, and then we'll go into the actual controls here. Game, secondary UI panel, Y, return all villagers to work from seek shelter, Control Shift R, or just G. Just G does this. So it's a little bit, I guess another way to do it, if you don't have, I guess if you're not selected into the TC, right, you can do this, but that's 3 buttons versus hitting your TC once and then hitting G, so this is a longer way to do it, so I don't actually use this. I could just clear this, I guess. Cancel last item in production queue B, cancel all items in production queue N. I use this sometimes, not enough, and then sometimes I mess it up and I confuse them, so I don't use them a lot, but sometimes I do. Focus on last attack notification, and I used to run my spacebar on this. It just became really tough to be like doing my own macro, doing my own thing, and seeing the last attack. Like I'd see an attack and then I'd try to do, jump to the screen and take care of that, whatever, to see what was happening. But sometimes it's just like something irrelevant, or like it's just like a tower getting hit or something, and so I didn't like it too much. So I did end up taking it off. Game menu, all this stuff, players should pay, all of this stuff. I don't use any of this. Basically, my F4 is my last key that I use that's on the Fs. Oh, team-based or unique player colors, insert. This might come in handy. That's about it. Nothing really there is really that important. Unit selection. Select all units I have as Control Shift A. This is something I do use on occasion. I do find it comes in handy. Control A. Might come in handy, but I don't know. It's not really my cup of tea. I don't really use this. It's here, but I don't use it. I can clear it. Cycle through selected unit types. So now when I grab a bunch of units and or buildings, I use my spacebar to tab through my menus. This can come in handy sometimes. I do feel like it's kind of APM intensive though. So I try to avoid cycling through the selected units or buildings, but it does come in handy sometimes. Cycle through selected unit types in reverse, so it's just space in reverse, which just makes this more complicated. I'll just delete this. Focus on selected units, empty. Follow selected units, I have the home button. Again, I don't even use this. It's like on the farthest right of my keyboard. I never use this. Cycle through idle economic units, I have as my tab key. I use this a lot. This comes in handy a bunch. Select all economic units on screen, empty. Select all villagers, Control Shift V. Might come in handy, but I would just Control Shift A and tab over. So I probably never use this. Select all idle villagers. Again, something I don't ever really use. Select all idle villagers in radius. That's even more complicated. Don't use that. Cycle through villagers gathering food. Don't use this. Goldstone. The one I do use on occasion is cycle through villagers gathering wood, and that's for production, building purposes, or just macro purposes. Just playing and then being able to hit Shift W and immediately basically select a wood villager versus me having to move my camera, and then I can just immediately go into my build hotkeys. So this does come in handy when I start playing like a little bit more quickly. I like to use this, but I do have to be kind of warmed up to use this. I don't use this as much as I should, is what I should say, because it really is pretty handy. It is kind of tempting. I wonder if I might switch. Can I switch this to double W? See that? I mean, the shift button isn't one of my favorite keys. Because I play on a laptop, the shift and the control buttons, I have to really push them, and I can't just use like the side of my hand to hit them, like a traditional keyboard. So shift and using my shift and control keys are pretty uncomfortable, but I mean, I use it for all my control groups, and I'm used to doing it. So yeah, I can probably just get away with Shift W. But this is one where potentially I might switch it to like double W, right? Because it's just easy to remember. Select all traders. This is one of the new ones that came up, and the only issue I have with select all traders, because there's issues when you're getting attacked and everything. This is a great hotkey to potentially use. To like reroute all of your trade without any problems. I could see it having some uses, like resetting up your trade to a different point and not wanting to go through everything. This is one I'm not using currently. It just came out. It's a new thing, but it might be useful. It might come in handy. So this is one where it has its uses. Like in a pinch when you're getting raided, you're not going to really use this to move your traders, because you're going to shut off your trade, and it's better to do it incrementally and let your traders finish their route. But there's definitely times when you want to just confirm that everybody's rerouted, and when I have to Control Shift A, I'm going like it's Control Shift A is 3 buttons on its own, right? And then you're going cycling through. That could be a few clicks. So we'll come back and revisit this. I could possibly use this with like my market key and just do like a shift and my market at the same time. So we'll come back and revisit this. Same thing with trade ships. Cycle through individual religious units. So all your monks and stuff I have as one of my mouse buttons. I have 2 buttons on my mouse, so this cycles them here. This comes in really handy. Select all military units. Control Shift C. I never use this ever. So I mean, I could clear this. It doesn't really matter. Cycle through idle military I have as a comma. Again, something I have, but I almost never use, so I don't really have it memorized. But it's not a bad thing. It's good for cleaning up some of the stuff. Select all naval military units, something I never use. Cycle through individual scout units. Again, the other mouse button I have. This comes in really handy in game, especially in openers or when dealing with like pro scouts and stuff like that. It really makes it easy to get onto them and control group them. Cycle through idle scout units, pretty much the same thing. I think I personally prefer individual versus idols, but that might be a personal preference thing. Select all melee infantry on screen, all ranged on screen, all cav on screen, siege on screen. These are all things which could potentially replace your hotkeys in some regards, like your control group hotkeys, but I don't think they're great hotkeys because it might be off a screen that you're moving your armies and stuff. You might be off screen. Might be doing some stuff, but you just click your army and you want to click it back to your base, or you want to get control of it. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it. Selecting all of them too on just your screen. Your screen has to be there already, so what jumps you to your screen there? That's a mini map click, so not super efficient is what I would say. Cycling through Imperial officials, I don't really have a hotkey for that. I just click the thing. And Shinobi, this one might have some. If I was more of a Japanese main, this might actually have some use. Like you could replace something with that. All right, building selection. Go to the top. I don't use any of these. The one that I use is focus on capital town center. I do double click on H, and that frees up one of my keys. I don't use any of these. None of these. And select all town centers is on H. So hit H once, I select all my TCs, queue my villages, hit twice, and I'm jumping my camera to my main town center. Really helps out a lot. Select all barracks, I've put on my F2 key, and select all my siege workshops on my F3 key. And these actually I just changed recently. And I'm still getting kind of used to it, but yeah, the barracks on my F2 and siege workshops on F3, it works out pretty nice. Archer ranges on 5, stables on 6, so I do like this, and it frees up, so my 1 through 4 is for military. And in some games it's nice to have 1 through 4, and then other games it's just like I only use maybe 3 of my control groups, so sometimes my 4 goes unused in games, but having it free for like late games and situations is really nice. So select all keeps, F5. Something I don't use very often, especially as a Mongol main, but when I play other civs, this can kind of come in handy, especially as English. Select all blacksmiths and Delhi. Select all blacksmiths, F4. Universities, madrasas, mills, hunting cabins. These are ones that I've been thinking about putting my university on my blacksmith, so they share, and then just having through them. But I haven't done it yet. And that's something I might end up doing in the future, but we'll see what we need. Select all docks, we have on X. Select all markets, we have on V. Villages, granaries, pagodas, uwus, pastures, gurs, like all those things I feel aren't super necessary. I don't think they're I mean, maybe just instead of individually granaries, pagodas, all those things, you could do your economic buildings. I'm pretty sure there's one for economic buildings. Yeah, select all economy buildings. So if you put that as a hotkey, you could just do that versus, going through each mill or and everything. So I'd rather do that. All military schools, cisterns isn't a big thing, but all military schools and mercenary houses I have right now in F1. And so those are just kind of unique production buildings for those civs, for Ottomans and Byzantines. So my F1 key is kind of like a unique production building, kind of a hotkey. And I guess one thing we could do, we'll go to select all traders, which is right around here, okay? And since our market is on V, maybe we'll switch select all traders to Shift V. Oops. Shift V. So basically that means we can reroute our trade with a few less clicks if we had to with this, so that'll be kind of nice. So as a building selection, control groups, you can see select control group 1 is just 1, select control group 2, 3, 4. That's pretty easy. And then control group 5, 6, 7, and 8, I just have blank. I still have 9 and 0, so I could potentially throw in a couple of additional things on my control groups, but 9 and 0 so far, I just never really used them. And even like same with 8 and 7. Like I'm okay with 5 and 6. It's pretty comfortable to hit, but 7 starts really maxing out my reach, and I don't know, it's not super comfortable. So I removed these just for efficiency's sake, and I moved those keys to my F1 keys, my F keys, I guess you'd say. Focus on control group, double clicks. I can just select them, or I can double click them, which is again pretty nice, helps out quite a bit. This is how you set your control groups. You just put control and add units, you add shift, and then removing selected units from all control groups is control and backspace. This stuff and all of these removing units I almost never use because I have exclusive control groups, so I almost never have to do this. But it's just control alt and then the hotkey, right? So again, I don't really use those last ones. Communication, don't use any of these. The ones that could potentially be useful would be your attack ping and your defend pings, notify pings, your control R, control T, control E. Camera, when we're doing like replays and stuff, this is kind of nice to have your own little hotkeys for camera. It's not obviously not a direct impact in plays, but it does come in handy. Rotate camera, hold your alt, which is nice. Resetting your camera with backspace. My mouse wheel is to zoom in and out. Panning with my keys, which I almost never use. Saving camera locations. Oh, I thought this was for observer. That's the next set of hotkeys. So this is camera locations. Some people use camera locations. I know a lot of StarCraft players use camera locations. Can be useful, but usually I have an army at a location, so of interest. So I usually don't have to use camera locations, though it could be potentially useful. And then observer replay, this is the couple of changes which I do like to have. Fog of War, I switched it to F, just makes it easier to watch reviews and be able to toggle it, knowing how to. Switching players, I use S, and that's the only thing I really need to do in terms of my recording and like replays and stuff like that. Caster mode, we also do have focus statistics, flip player UI sides, and view player 1. So this flip player UI sides might be pretty cool for readability. That's about it. And so that's all of my my controls in game. Camera, pan and acceleration I have turned off. Mouse button pan speed 200%. Screen edge panning on. Disable edge panning while box selecting on. Screen edge pan speed 200%. Keyboard pan speed never used, it doesn't matter. Zoom, I like camera mode on panoramic. Mouse wheel zoom speed at 100%. Honestly, I could probably ramp this up a little bit. Game dynamic training off. It's just kind of like tutorial stuff. I do like the unique player colors, though. There's definitely an argument to be made to use team-based, especially if you play competitively and you want to get like super sweaty. It'd be better for training and readability to use team player colors. I use the smart, which is villagers and military. Campaign difficulty, yeah, this is on hard. Campaign is off. Recognition for buildings. show waypoint markers for single actions, gathering, and default. So this is all pretty standard stuff. And I prefer the default versus the legacy. Just makes it easier to like attack move and not worry about like what you're clicking on, because some things are hard to click on, or our base will be completely full of buildings. Health bars I like always on. Construction progress always on. Show game duration timer, pin player information. This one's actually pretty important. Some people miss out. Global build queue I like to show all. It's nice to see when your villagers are in queue what army you have in queue without having to manually select the building. So it's a good way to double check where you're at in terms of production at any given time. I think it's pretty important to have on. Mini map size, I do like it on the largest. Control group shortcuts on. This one isn't necessarily needed, but I do like it to have a reference of my control group. Sometimes it's nice to be like, oh yeah, I've only got 2 units in my control group 1, and my main group right now is currently 3 or 2 or whatever. So it's nice to be able to check what control groups I have at a glance with this. Idle villager icons on. This isn't really important, but it can come in handy. And a condensed victory objective is not a big deal. This is graphics. Everything's basically low. So this is just what basically whatever your computer can handle is not a big deal. Volume as well, whatever is your kind of preference. I do think it's important that you can hear pretty well during the game. So make sure that you're not listening to only music, that you can hear some sound effects and stuff like that. Online, none of this is really important. Yeah, I don't think any of that's important. Same with accessibility. So that's pretty much it in terms of my hotkeys. I'll have this kind of saved in, like, I don't know, in a different playlist, like a saved like a learning tutorial playlist, so it'll be easier so to find, because I do think this is the second time I've shown my hotkeys. So this time hopefully it'll be easy to find again. So thank you guys for watching. I will be playing some ranked games, and yeah, I'll be uploading those tomorrow as well. So catch you all on the next video, and hopefully you know, some of this information can be helpful. And if you guys have any questions about hotkeys or want me to elaborate on anything, just yeah, just leave a comment and I'm happy to answer. So thank you again, and catch you all in the next one.